couple that was at the Arlington Cemetery texting on their cell phone. So one of the reasons that we don't want cell phones is because we want people to be respectful and trained.
I think that's, my daughter went to Italy this year with Troy High, and well, it was very expensive to have her cell phone over there, so, and she did fine. She crossed the country, and, you know, I think that, you know, I was a little nervous with not being able to call her anytime I wanted, and she was a little nervous too, but they all did fine. They went to Italy with their cell phones. And they could only, so you'll be fine, yeah, you'll guys will be fine. And they, what they did in the evening is the chaperones did like a blog, and they reported back to the parents. Do they do that, something like that? So the parents got to read it. Yeah, I don't know if it was an email or a blog, I don't know, because Mr. French, Ann Miller was there, right? Did they do like a blog or an email at night?
Daily blogging.
Yeah, and that was really, that was great. I don't know if Annabelle had a cell phone or not, but it was pretty crazy if they did.
And the other good news is that, which is nice for this little community, this town of North Greenbush, Wynantskill particularly, is represented by two Congress. So it kind of splits. So I because of my Ichabod training experience, I know Congressman Gibson well, and he was part of the tour in the last couple of years at Ichabod. So I thought I would just talk to him about potentially just helping us out with Congressman Ponko. And he said, no, we're co-sponsoring. So we have both staffs communicating with each other. So, you know, hopefully we'll get into the White House. That's kind of difficult with security reasons at certain times. But we are planning to go to the White House. We're planning to see the House of Congress. So we'll have experiences of a lifetime that a lot of people will not have the opportunity. So we're looking forward to it. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
So how many Yes, we'll go pick up the pace a little bit. Mr. Wynantskill is you that was interested in looking at a software program where the community, taxpayer residents could access online and know their taxes. We get a lot of phone calls about what my taxes are. A lot of communities have done this. We kind of explored three, and Gail's done this specifically, three different vendors, one of which is NARIC, Harris School Solutions and Biz Innovation Services. Clearly, it's the cheapest way to go through Northeastern Information Center. So the annual fee would be $4,200, but we would get 4% rebate on that each year, reimbursement. So the only thing is, we thought we could start it ASAP, but actually have to start it in the fiscal year. So that's why we were thinking we're going to go that direction tonight, but we'll give you the information tonight, but we'll get it set up. With your approval, we'll go through the approval process in the spring, and then hopefully have it available going forward. Okay. You know which ones?
Lansingburg, Hoosick Falls. Hoosick Falls, Lansingburg, and Waterford, in Rensselaer County, you said.
So this would show not only the amount, but whether it was paid?
Yes.
And all that?
Yep. Yep. And you can look up anybody's name.
Right. Could they pay it online?
You cannot pay online. We do not collect online. No.
We'll get more information when the time. Okay. Foster Grandparents Program. This became actually Parents Advisory Group, which was established prior to my coming. We're continuing it, and one of their issues was to support the Foster Grandparents Program, which is a federal program, but run through Rensselaer County. I met with the director. It sounds wonderful. They train folks that will go into school. There's some nominal payment. They do background checks. And so we have at least one person who qualifies, who does volunteer for us, but we would like to formalize the program. And any kind of help we get in that capacity, we appreciate. So it kind of is a win-win situation for both the folks who are availing their service to us, and of course we're the beneficiaries of having their services with our students and so on.
My cousin is more like an aunt, who just had a thrilling opportunity to do that teaching support.
Okay,
So,
yes.
Yep. So,
Is she coming here?
I'll let her know. Maybe, she's with really, really young kids right now, and I think she might appreciate being with them.
Well, it's a lot of fun here, so we'll promote that. But if any folks know individuals that may be qualified for that kind of program, Cindy Cruz is the director at Rensselaer County, and she'd be happy to get a referral, and hopefully we'll get more folks working with us. So that'll be later in the agenda for approval. The next piece is technology support. Currently, we have contracted services with Questar. It's 2.5 days per week, and our technology needs far surpass that. We have, just within a month, we've had formal work orders of well over 100, which takes a lot of time, in addition to those kind of supports that our tech person does that does not require work orders, but just kind of comes in and helps out. But there's multiple areas that we're deficient in and we need to get up to speed. We have purchased about 140 tablets, which we have not operationalized because we have not had the opportunity. It takes chunks and chunks of time to make those operational. And then, of course, the only 2.5 days, if the teacher is using some technology and the Questar person is not there, everything shuts down. So I have a whole list of areas that we need some support. So I'm recommending an additional 1.5 days, which brings it up to 4 days. And we'll kind of evaluate that as we go forward to support that. Of course, it's through Questar, so there's a reimbursement associated with that. So just going forward, I believe it was $6,000 net. But I really highly recommend it to support our teachers. I have here tonight our wonderful tech person, Dwight Grant. You want to wave, Dwight? And Dwight is so popular with our staff. He was voted to be on the BC trip by the kids. Really had all the suggestion box was filled with his name in it. So,
Ready to go?
but if you want to ask Dwight any specific question, and his style is somewhat soft and quiet, but he's very, very effective. So, unless you want to add something, like.
I think it's a shame that we don't have, to have those resources sitting in a hopefully very secure area. And my only question is, I think, deployment, how long will that take, given the extra time? Are teachers trained to, utilize them in the classroom, and then how will they be secured down?
Well, I don't know the answer completely. The security piece, I'm not sure.
They're currently down in the electrical room to secure the lock doors. That's what they have.
Going forward, they'll be in classrooms, and we'll have to secure the net in some fashion there. But it's a point well taken, but we certainly want to have them in children's hands as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And of course, I think all of our classes are now outfitted with smart boards, and that takes a little bit of TLC as well, and some projection. This library, for whatever had its work in it, it took a long time to get these computers back up to speed. It's a shaky technology here. It needs to be replaced. A lot of it needs to be replaced. And later I'll talk a little bit about that in terms of the strategic planning. But for the short term, we just need a lot of support quick. And I know that Questar and Dwight, they're amenable to even working some overtime to just get everything out. Okay? So that'll appear later in the agenda. kind of segues into the strategic planning committee. What I'm recommending for the board to consider is a strategic planning committee for looking at Wynantskill Schools, Gardener-Dickinson, as it exists today, programmatically, the financial support for those programs, and then looking at what we want it to be in the future. And then what are the action steps that need to be taken to go from the what is to what we would value in the future. And so that's what the strategic planning committee would be evaluating, investigating, and ultimately recommending. A subset we already talked about, which came out of the district operational study, is communication. So even though there will be a separate communications committee, clearly that is part of the strategic planning piece. And eventually that will probably be subsumed under strategic planning. But because it needs to be out front, we will do the communication as kind of a separate item. But we want to investigate how are our kids competitive across the board, particularly in the middle school. I see so much innovation potential here because of the size, and I think that is not a liability at all. That's a strength, and it's how we capitalize on that strength. And the opportunities to use technology to get into a more of a technologically advanced environment so that we can do a lot more work external to the building. And because we're small, the classes are small, we have the ability to go visit, whether it's Washington, it's a lot easier for 40 kids, or to Albany for maybe the 7th graders, or for 6th graders to go to take advantage of a lot of the local environment because you just got to put kids on one bus. You're not dealing with 200 kids or 400 kids like some of the mega middle schools are today. So you have a wonderful advantage in size. But now we need to look at, we can't stand still. We need to go forward. And this will be the umbrella to have those conversations, which hopefully we'll be able to tap into the expertise of teachers and administrators, board, community members, parents, to have these kind of conversations and then focus in to a very specific action plan. One of the criticisms of strategic planning is that you always plan to plan to plan, and there's not the doing. So I kind of hesitate to use the term, but I guarantee you, if you go strategic planning model, you will have very specific goals and objectives by the end of this year, in short term and long term. So I'm excited about it. I think we are excited about it. We've turned the corner. Our staff, I think, is ready to really go forward and tackle some of the issues that we face. I'm convinced we can make this middle school, and we talked about having a private school experience in a public school setting, without a doubt. And our model should not just be restricted to public school, middle schools. We should take a look at what Emma Willard's doing, what the School Academy for Boys is doing in terms of curriculum and offerings. We should not restrict ourselves to just the public middle school. So more to come, but we need to get people to work on that, and certainly you can be open to the board, but not more than 2. And so that's what's on the agenda for consideration. And then the other piece, which came out of the district operational study, and let me go back, that the district operational studies, many of those conversations also would be looked at by the strategic planning committee. So their work is not going to sit on a shelf. It will come right underneath to continue the conversation going forward. And obviously the communication piece was important from the focus groups. We see it as important as well. We can't over-communicate. There's multiple ways to communicate, and we should take advantage of all of that. So I see that committee would also have a broad spectrum. So there's a lot of stuff going on, but it's worth it.